It's live now. After this, I don't mean to ask you to put you on the spot to say, tell us what's going to happen in the future, but tell us what's going to happen in the future.
Good.
Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of Keep Leading Live and the Keep Leading podcast, part of the C-Suite Radio Network, dedicated to leadership development and leadership insights. My name is Lou Diamond. Don't change your channel, and don't worry, you're in the right place, because I'm your guest host for this very special program, as this show marks the 100th episode of the Keep Leading podcast. In honor of this historic and momentous occasion, we flipped the script and turned the tables of this normal flow of this program. Because today, you, the listeners, and the viewers on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube get a chance to hear from an incredibly important and wonderful individual on this planet. He is passionate about leadership. He believes good leadership can transform businesses, communities, and the world. Keep leading, listeners. I bring you the Leadership Accelerator and the host of the Keep Leading podcast, Mr. Eddie Turner.
Lou, thank you very much. I knew I picked the right man for the job.
So I am so glad to be here today for many reasons. One is that as a podcast host, I get to have my own forum, but the opportunity to flip the script and host someone else who I admire, respect, and someone who really has taken this platform, made it his own, and has elevated it and brought you some of the most unbelievable leaders, which we'll address in a minute, some of the people who have been on this program, to new heights, to reach a huge milestone. Because trust me, you must appreciate the milestones. Great leaders do that. And 100 episodes. Eddie Turner, you should be so proud of what you've accomplished just to date. And I can't wait to dig in deep with you and get you on the other side of the microphone for a change. Are you excited about this milestone you've reached?
Absolutely, Lou. And that's why I wanted to bring in someone else, Lou Diamond, the golden voice, the diamond voice, because you know, this is a time for me just to kind of sit back and reflect. And if I am doing the talking and doing everything, especially for the live show as we're doing this, it's not as easy for me to be in reflective mode. And so I'm looking forward to this conversation with you and other folks who are joining us. As a matter of fact, before I tell you what I was going to say next, let me share that my friend Eduardo is joining all the way from Argentina.
Hello from Eduardo Riccieri. Hello from Argentina. Excellent. Look at you've got friends.
Yeah, I love this guy. He's amazing. He and I used to work together. It's been 7-8 years now since he and I worked together. But a great guy. Thank you for tuning in all the way from Argentina, Eduardo. And then Dr. James, who was actually a guest. Yeah. I won't try to remember which number she was, but she and I studied at Harvard together, and she was a guest on the show, probably somewhere in the 40s or 50 episode range.
The listeners need to know this, and the viewers as well. I just wanted to give a quick snapshot of these 100 episodes, just to give a list. This is just a spattering of the people that have been on this program. Jeffrey Hazlett, Connie Fife, Phil M. Jones, Tony Chapman, Dr. Laura Sicola, Simon T. Bailey, Joel Block, Marcia Reynolds, Julia Lewis, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, Lenora Billings Harris, love her, J.J. Ramberg, Beth Polish, Karl Mecklenburg, both Karen Jacobsons, the doctor and the GPS girl, Che Brown, Alan Hunkins, Ramon Ray, and dozens and tens of dozens of others have been on this program. These are some of the best speakers, leaders, coaches, developers out there, and you have had a chance to sit on the other side and absorb some of their brilliance and share their brilliance with the world. The question we're going to, first of all, just even hearing all those names, is it amazing to you?
In my first, when I did in fact, this year, April was the 1 year anniversary of the show.
Right.
So I did a special episode number 60 in April to celebrate the 1 year. And I tried to figure out what 10 people can I highlight. And that's hard, as you know, because you've got a great show. Right. And by the way, you didn't mention guest number 1.
I was going to lead up to that.
But so I was trying to figure out which 10 do I feature. So I picked 10 for the first 60. And then it was hard again when I was thinking about this is 40 episodes that we're going to, right? Number 94 drops this week. Mm-hmm. And in fact, early access is available on the Keep Leading Podcast website, keepleadingpodcast.com website. But the other 6 are going to trickle out. So I was trying to figure out what 10 of the 40 do I highlight? Is it those names that you said, or is it the number 1 CEO coach, the number 1 Mark Thompson, the number 1 startup coach, Alyssa Cohn? Is it New York Times bestselling author Chester Elton, the apostle of appreciation and the guru of gratitude? I was going through my list, and I'm like, I don't know which folks to pull out. There's just so many people. But as you said, many of them have come from the speaking community or the Marshall Goldsmith 100 coaches community, a group that I'm so excited to be a part of. So just some of the best for sure.
So I look at it this way, Eddie, and I'll get to this towards the end of this conversation. You have a persona. I always joke that you're like, if for those who's ever had the opportunity to meet Eddie Turner in person, we're talking about an individual who is as likable. He's the big teddy bear. He is the big teddy bear. I mean, I get to him. I feel like I'm getting engulfed whenever I see him, and I can't wait till we get to a world of lack of virtual hugs. We can actually do a nice bro hug and say hello to one another.
The good old days.
But there's a reason that 99, 100 some odd people have been on this program, and that is because any one of these people will step up to connect with you because you've done something on this program that I think I want to start our conversation and our questions, which I think is just spectacular. And that is that you have found how important leadership is to the world, not just to business or a community, but literally to changing the world. And you wanted to highlight that. So before you had one of your best episodes of your entire 100, which would be your first, obviously, because I was fortunate enough to be in that spot. And I'm honored to be here today. I wanted to ask the question, when you came up with the concept of Keep Leading, did you have this vision that you would have the ability to tap into such great people? Like, was that what it was from the very beginning, that you knew a lot of people and wanted to bring those folks to your listeners and to an audience?
Oh, absolutely. I started thinking about all the people that I've been blessed to meet and develop relationships with. And some obviously I know better than others. But just the fact that we've had that chance meeting or we've developed a bond, and I'm thinking, I know some pretty awesome people, and their views affect me. All right, you, as Walter Bond once said, you're the sum of the 5 people that you associate with. So I wanted other people to get a chance to know these people and to learn from them as well. And I'm really passionate about leadership. I used to be an information technology professional. I revamped my entire career around this one word. And the biggest lesson I learned is it's I always say at the end of the show, it's not once a leader, always a leader. You must continuously work on being a leader. And I don't remember how I came up with it, but one day I was just sitting down, as we do when we're brainstorming things, and I'm like, you got to keep leading. And then that's how the show became Keep Leading.
Let's talk about sitting on the side of the microphone that I'm on now and that you're on there. Can you share with the listeners some of the gifts you've had and learned in being a podcast host? Because not many people get to sit in this seat. And I fortunately host a bunch of programs, and we're not going to talk about those today because we're here to talk about this experience that you have. Can you share with the listeners what it's like to be on that side of the microphone each episode when you connect with these incredible people?
Illuminating is probably the first word that comes to my mind. Illuminating. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest surprises, there were a couple things I anticipated would come from having a show. The one that I did not anticipate is how much I would learn. Yeah. And I find myself quoting my guests all the time. And even if I give a presentation and people ask me a question, I will tell them about the guests I interviewed, point them to the show. And on my website, there's always a listing of that person's website and all their social media information, their books. It gives me a chance to continue to highlight these people I'm passionate about. But I just have a encyclopedia of knowledge now that part I didn't count on.
It's one of the greatest secrets of all. It's the best classroom I've ever gotten a chance to be on, is to sit in this seat. Because when it's really,
it's a classroom. I never thought about it like that.
It is a classroom. Yeah. I actually, at the end of any episode that I host on my program, I've listened to many of your episodes, and what I could tell you, whether you're a listener or whether you're even the guest that you're featuring, there's an engagement that's happening with that host, that your natural charisma is coming out, but the questions that you're asking and pulling from these great people is like the best bright light you can find for that day. I'll actually find, I went through, I just listened, by the way, to your Ramon Ray episode, because Ramon was a guest on my show and I love Ramon.
Oh, he's the best.
And I was smiling at the end of the episode. And I want to now flip this to you. At the end of each episode, do you feel almost like it feels good? It's got this energy, because I know you. I know when you're like, oh man, that was a good one. Or, tell me about that vibe that you get from being after the show is over, when you interview a guest, what you feel, Eddie.
That's actually an interesting question, Lou. And, when the episode has concluded, there are some that you go, wow, that was something special, right? We think all the episodes are great, but there are some that you're left speechless. When I did the anniversary episode, there's a couple that I highlighted that I just continue to say that about. I think all of them have been great, but when you interview someone like Dave Sanderson, the last passenger off of the flight in the Miracle of the Hudson, I was trembling the entire interview just listening to him tell that story, right? John, I call him Father John, and so now his last name is escaping me. I can't believe this. Episode number 16, the hidden.
You remember the episode number, but the name, that's totally never going to hit you.
Yes, I can't believe I'm forgetting John's name, because he was someone who was like a father figure. And in the middle of the episode, I usually do the introductions and then go straight into it. In the middle of the episode, I asked him one question. He sent me into a completely different direction. And usually when that happens, you kind of want to bring it back this way. Some said, Eddie, go with him. And I went with him. And it was a lesson where I felt like I'm capturing history. When that was over, I felt like, wow, I just opened an encyclopedia. Yeah. And he had never done a podcast before. He's 80 years old. He had never done a podcast before, hadn't even listened to a podcast before. And he was so excited to have done that with me. And I was excited to do it with him. And he heard his episode and he died about 6 weeks later. And so that was one that even when I think about it, it still gets me kind of choked up.
Yeah.
And John Lewis's name is in my head because the civil rights figure,
Right.
and I cannot believe I'm forgetting John's name.
Well,
it will come to me.
This is what for the listeners need to know. This a good host will now start talking.
Perry
and
John Perry.
John Perry, rest in peace. And it sounds like
I think it's number 16.
Something that I noticed, and I wanted to see if you have as well. When you start off a podcast program, you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know if it's going to be successful, if you're going to enjoy it, if it fits into all the things that you do. But this is literally custom tailored to what you do. I think the listeners who follow this program know this about Eddie. His passion for leadership comes out, and that's what makes the show so engaging. Now, while as guest number 1 on the program, you could tell it was an engaging conversation between the two of us. I listened to some of your later episodes, some spottier ones like on number 30, number 50, number 60, and most recently in the 90s. Can you tell how much of a better interviewer you've become, Mr. Eddie Turner?
I can, and thank you, Valerie. She was just chiming in about the story about John Perry.
Hello, Valerie.
Who did I say? I'm sorry, Valerie.
No, yeah, Valerie. I said, hello, Valerie. I'm saying hello to Valerie too for all the viewers out there.
I have found that doing the show, that's another benefit. Good point. That it carries over to other aspects of my life. So much so, sometimes I have to almost catch myself that I am not in interview mode in other areas. Yeah. But it does carry over. Absolutely. Because one of the things I do is I'm a moderator on panels. Mm-hmm. And so it's, and obviously by training and by profession, I'm a coach. And so I think that the coach is at the heart of everything. And to be able to do it real time in an interview fashion, it just definitely carries over.
I would actually argue it's really funny. The great coaches are great listeners. Mm-hmm. Great leaders are great listeners. And it's kind of a rather ironic thing, I think, because your show is for the listeners to hear great lessons from amazing leaders out there. Yet Absolutely. the one who's benefiting the most, ironically, is you, because you sit in that seat where you get to have access to these incredible leaders in this conversation, and you get to listen and as you just said so well, like you let the conversation go into the direction that guest is taking it. And that's what really great coaches do, to explore new avenues so that the guest can learn something great, or in this particular case, your clients. But the ones who benefit are the listeners, because your content is incredible. And that's what I will say as a listener of your program. You have done a great job of highlighting and getting the show and the platform up and running. But when you get into it, when you're in it, it's a phenomenal listen, because you're really tapping into some brilliance that your guests have. And I've noticed this. So a kudos to you from one podcaster to another on your ability to unearth and draw this stuff out. I hope you're able to appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been amazing, an amazing journey, because as you know, our friend Dory Clark says the average podcast lasts
7 episodes, I think. You're right. 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. 6 or 7 episodes, or I think it was 6 months, or was it 12 episodes? Oh. Shorter. It's short. But I thought it was like 6 months or 12 episodes is the length of the podcast. And so to reach this milestone has definitely been something that I'm really proud of. And so many people helped me to get here. And, you were part of that first group that I talked to, and I took a little from you. I took a little from Jeff, a little from Julie, a lot of different folks who gave me ideas, and then say, okay, here's the mash, and here's my version of that. And it's such a great honor to be a part of the C-Suite radio family, of course, where we've gotten a lot of support, and definitely appreciate that relationship and being with those folks. But real quick, I want to just highlight, a couple of the major things that have happened. Obviously the launch, and then something very interesting happens during the launch. And that is if you want to become an Amazon bestseller, we know how to get somebody on that list. But to get on Apple's new and noteworthy list,
you're stealing my thunder, man.
There's no algorithm for that. So hitting that and staying there for 8 weeks was incredible. And then later on, of course, making it for the year. But then when Corona hit, I wasn't sure, Lou. It's like there's this amazing doctor I listened to in our meetings with Dr. Marshall Goldsmith and Dr. Julie. I'm bad with names. That's one of my Achilles heels. Dr. Julie, and I use her products all the time, but I'm forgetting her last name all of a sudden.
We'll just call her Dr. Julie for now.
But Dr. Julie, and I wanted to get her on my show. And so to get her on the show, as you know, I'm now at a point where I'm booked out 3 or 4 months. So when I record them, and so I said, how can I get her on immediately? Because the things she's talking about, listeners need to know. And so that gave birth to the live show that we're doing right now. So Keep Leading Live was born in May as a result of trying to get her information out there. So now we take these live episodes and we convert them later on to regular audio episodes, because 20% of the people listen to this show on their Apple Watch is what the analytics are showing me.
Yeah, wow.
I don't listen to myself when I'm running, but other people are. So I'm excited about that.
This is what I'll tell the listeners should know this as it relates to the behind the scenes of podcasting. People have no idea that it isn't just about recording an episode. And I'm sure you've learned this from putting together the music, the sponsorship video for those that saw this ahead of time. You have sponsors and promotions, which I'm going to give them a plug to in about a minute here to do a really good job as a guest host. Those that are helping to promote, bring awareness. You've got a time window to know that the show's got to work under a certain timeline. So what people don't understand about great podcast programs that have lasted 100 some odd episodes and then some are they've figured out a formula of great guests, great content, but there is so much work behind it. And my question to you as the guest here, Eddie, would you have ever imagined there's this much work to put together a podcast show?
No, that's been the other big surprise. We're in 80 countries now. We're doing a show every week, but I had no idea how much work is involved.
It's a lot, right?
If you want to do it right. And so someone else who I worked with years ago is chiming in. Pablo, hello, sir.
Look at this. They're chanting, Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. I like these.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah, you're right. I see the 1, 2, 3 exclamation marks. Pablo's a great guy. He is one of our oil industry leaders here in the Houston area.
Excellent. Hold on, if it's all right with you, because it's your show, but I'm taking over the reins here. Can I give a note to our sponsor here, because we have some.
Yes, these people help me keep going and keep leading. So please give a shout out to my sponsors.
First of all,
this is a chance for them to have a professional orator do the reading. So I'm going to step out of the way.
I'll do this one. This is for the Grand Heron International. The key to sustainable leadership lies in the ability to thrive during uncertainty, ambiguity, and change. Grand Heron International brings you the Coaching Assistance Program, giving your employees on-demand coaching to manage through a challenging situation and arrive at a solution. Visit grandheroninternational.ca/podcast to learn more. With that, we have other sponsors, which, hold on one second, Ed. I'm going to go read this one because you gave me the list of this thing. And should I read all of them?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you've got a bunch of them here. And he wanted to read. He's going to get a read.
They all have paid.
They've all paid the following here. From American Express, standforsmall.com, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, launchwithgs.com, AT&T, Progressive, Walmart, Kroger, TIAA, Dropbox, Forex, Marriott from Marriott Boundless Card, C-Suite Radio and the C-Suite Network, turning up the volume on business. And obviously, as you all know here, the Keep Leading podcast, which is what this program is about. Thank you for all your sponsors, all your folks there. Now let's get back to our interview here with the host of the Keep Leading podcast, Eddie Turner.
And we want to thank Sunday for chiming in as well. Thanks for the job you did on that, Lou.
Yes, excellent. So, as you can tell, for those looking out here, the podcast has evolved. You mentioned it that now we're doing a live feed on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. It's everywhere. Hold on, we have sponsors interacting with this. Everyone wishing you a happy 100. Eddie, I have my own messages of people who sent this from my own feed here. You have thank yous from Drew Tarvin, Jill Schiffelbein, Phil M. Jones, Sylvie DeGiusto, Tammy Who else we got? Tammy and Corey Kupfer all send their best congratulations here on your 100th episode.
Those are all people. Can I do it right?
Yeah, you can do it right.
Those are all people who I absolutely love.
So this is actually one of the biggest challenges that great content creators have, and I think this is something you need to now understand when you get to 100 episodes, Eddie, because this is a rare audience you're in here. 100 episodes means that you've got something that is working great, has moved on, and obviously you already mentioned this. You've got a queue for 3 months out for other guests that are coming on. Let's do what I do on my program right now, because this will be fun. Can you share what's coming up for Keep Leading and Keep Leading Live down the road? Not new guests, but other ideas, because I know you, Eddie. I know that there's more to this. There's other things coming up on the horizon as you're trying to think on the fly here. What other things are coming on the program, on your platform, so we could share that right now?
Well, this is one of the, I'm always innovating and trying different things, right? And experimenting. So, having a guest host. And you and I did not prepare. People may not know that. You and I have not talked. I sent you a text. I said, will you host the show? You said yes. We did a graphic and here we are, right? So unscripted. I wanted it to be at the water cooler like you and I are catching up. So this is one thing. But here's the other thing, Lou, and I haven't even told you this.
This is why we asked the question.
So I normally am definitely ahead. And you and I actually originally scheduled this for next month, and then I realized if I want this to come out as an audio episode, I need to do it now. So my
timing and logistics is always a challenge for anyone who wants to host a podcast program. Anyway, yes,
they have the whole queue done for me, but I realized this is the one that still needed to get done. So this is going to be episode number 100. But right before this one, I just interviewed Bonnie Harvey and Mike Houlihan, the founders of Barefoot Wine.
Love them. Oh, they're amazing. Great.
So they're coming out, but we got that done. And I'm going to this is the last live show.
Yep.
And this is the last show that'll be recorded for 90 days.
Okay.
So I'm taking off all of January because my wife and I are welcoming our first child, my first child. I feel like I'm too old for this, Lou. Your kids are grown. All my best friends, their kids are grown, but I'm having my first child.
This is the best news on a podcast. This is like a fresh release. At least to me, that's congratulations, by the way. That's exciting.
So I want to give that whole month of January to my daughter. And so January, there will be no episodes. You probably see me dumping out a few of the older shows that I've run because they're still evergreen. I love the content. But new episodes will start back in February. There'll be 2 episodes a month for all of 2021, as I won't have the energy and bandwidth. So people tell me that comes with being a new father. So we're just going to do 2 episodes a month. So those episodes are all recorded. I'll start back recording in March to go for the balance of the year. But the episodes all the way through March are all recorded, and can't wait to share these folks with everybody.
So the advantage of having a professional podcast host your show is that, one, that you'll get the things that you had done in the time frame you need to. That's what I would promise Eddie and make sure I deliver to all the listeners here. But what Eddie doesn't know is that I'm going to put him on his toes because he loves to be prepared for stuff, but I just like throwing him off balance a little bit. So we're going to do something that we do on my show, which you have never done, even though you've been a guest. You were guest number 154 on the Thrive Loud podcast, and that was over 3 years ago.
Yeah, what number are you up to now? Like 990?
The Thrive Loud podcast is well into the 500s. At the time of the airing of this, we're probably at the 555th episode.
That's incredible.
We have a triple nickel episode.
That's incredible.
There's some other podcast programs, but we're not here not to do that. What we're going to do here is, Eddie, we're going to take you down Fun Street, because I think your listeners really would find this valuable, because these are things that are important to you. And I will end my last bit of Fun Street on a signature question that you ask on your program. So permission, Eddie Turner, to go down Fun Street with me on your program.
Okay.
A song that you love to hear that pumps you up or gets you motivated. Think of it like the speed round of Family Feud, the thing that comes to your head. These are things that make you feel good.
A song that pumps me up doesn't come to mind. But I can tell you a song that always does it for me and puts me in my special place.
Yes.
One of the things you don't know, I don't think you know this, is I used to be a saxophonist.
Oh, I did know that from
Did
our
you know that?
relationship with Tony Chapman. Tony, you guys always
Oh,
talk.
the day we were hanging out at his
Yeah,
house. Yes.
right.
Tony Chapman, another guest on the
Another
show.
guest. I list him in the beginning. I wouldn't leave Tony out. He'd be very mad if I did.
I love Tony. So yes, and so I used to do a lot of Kenny G music. So whenever Going Home comes on, that's my song. In fact, I was playing that for my wife on her belly. I don't pull out my horn very much anymore, but I pulled it out, and it was amazing to have my daughter responding to that. Either she was telling me to shut up because she didn't like it, but she started kicking my wife off.
She was kicking to the beat. Let's go with that. I think she's going to be going that. Okay.
So Kenny G, Going Home. That is my song. That whenever I hear that song, everything's going to be all right.
I love it.
It puts me in a different space.
Okay, Eddie. So a favorite food of yours that's not a dessert.
Oh, that's easy. I'm from Chicago and I live in Texas now. And I say that Texans don't know what pizza tastes like. I am a pizza snob.
now I'm a New Yorker and you're from Chicago.
Yeah.
There are two types.
I fight with you guys about it all the time. No, it's one type of pizza.
Chicago style pizza. Deep dish.
That's it. That's the only what you guys fold and all that kind of. I argue with you guys about that all the time.
Neither of us are fully Italian, so we won't be able to argue that way. A favorite dessert?
That's tougher. My wife says I haven't met a dessert I don't like.
I really do like it.
A favorite dessert. I'm gonna say ice cream just to keep it simple.
Okay. An activity you wish you did more of?
Exercise.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Work.
If you could snap your fingers, Eddie Turner, and go anywhere in the world, where are you?
Bora Bora.
Eddie, you've had over 100 guests on the program to date. We know there's some queued up here. You've had some unbelievable leaders out there, and you ask each of those guests what their favorite leadership quote or leadership lesson is. So, Eddie, is it fair to say, at least at this point, in 100 episodes in, do you, Eddie Turner, host of Keep Leading and Keep Leading Live, have a favorite leadership quote or leadership lesson that you would like to share with your listener?
That nice move. I see what you did there, Lou. Well, of course, right behind me is my book. So most of my favorite quotes are in here. That's why I wrote this, because I quote a lot of people, and probably my own quote would be probably my favorite quote. I would probably say in this instance would be my last quote. Let me read my last quote.
Okay.
Which is, most of them are from other people, but this one is mine. Being an emerging leader does not mean you are not already a leader. You are a leader. You have potential for even greater leadership capacity. Keep developing, keep growing, keep emerging. And now I add, keep leading.
Keep leading.
Because at the time I hadn't made the show. But yeah, so that was something that really meant a lot to me, because so many people, if they don't have a leadership title, feel they can't lead. And it was a long time before I realized that my own journey to leadership, that I had that capacity. And I started leading and didn't know how to necessarily define what I was doing. But it was later on when I went to different programs and studied at different universities that I started to then have the academic language to use for how you do this. And so that one means a lot to me.
Eddie Turner, we are here 33 some odd minutes in. I did the average. This is about the average time of your episode. And I wanted, first of all, to do something that you should know. One, I am personally honored that you asked me to host this particular episode, get a chance to put you on the other side of the mic, even though you tried to jump back over onto this side, because I know that's you. You like to keep things rolling. I think every listener to this episode, every viewer on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube is thrilled that you've created this platform. It's a gift that you've given to us, so we thank you for it. Congratulations on 100 episodes and 100 more, 200 more, whatever number you want to keep going. Keep leading this podcast forward, my friend, because we love it.
I appreciate that. And it just came back to me. I cannot leave out Dr. Julie Rosenberg. Dr. Julie Rosenberg. She is absolutely amazing. And I want people to know about her because also she was responsible for giving me a lot of tips for different exercises you need to do and different supplements to use during COVID to boost your own natural immunity. So I want folks to check out her page on the Keep Leading podcast website. And then also Sonia Ware, who's an amazing woman, one of our leaders, coaching leaders here in the Houston community. She is sending her hello to me, and I appreciate her so much. And from Northwestern University, Anne Marie.
Anne Marie. She was a guest on your show, Anne Marie Heidensfelder. Yes? No? Maybe?
No. Anne Marie is in our coaching community as well. The Association for Talent Development. I have to remember where everybody's from. And she's from the East Coast.
Eddie, this is the problem that you have when you have 100 episodes. You've got too many guests. You have so many fans. You have so many people tapping in, and people who are incredibly proud. And I just hope that you can appreciate these milestones. I think you do. And if you ever want to just sit back and step back, you could say, "Wow, I got Lou Diamond to host my 100th episode. That must be a big deal." I also want to let you know that I don't usually get dressed up that much anymore because, like many of us, we don't have to go out too much. I put on the digs for you. I saw 100. I was going to even put a party hat on, but
I appreciate that, Lou. You look good, man. You look good.
I have to keep up with you, man. I'm always trailing. I may lead you in podcast episode host, but as it relates to looking good, Eddie Turner owns that, and Eddie Turner, soon to be Papa Turner. I like that. Can I call you Papa? Is that all right? Because that's exciting news. And seriously, enjoy every minute of that. Enjoy that bit of joy. I'm glad you're taking time off to be the dad that you want to be in that moment. And trust me, maybe you could pass the baton when you get to episode 1000 off to the little one and make them do voiceovers. Just to let you know, some of my kids have done voiceovers for my shows. If you listen really carefully, it's an opportunity.
See, that's the advantage of having gotten your children of age, and you can do those things. I'm just starting, man, so I'm going to be trying to figure everything out. I told someone the other day, I've never felt more incompetent in my life. So I'm like trying to figure stuff out. But
you just wait. You just wait. No.
My wife has me reading books and watching videos, and she's like, "No, we got to do this now because you can't do classes right now with COVID, right?
Right.
Everything's you can. They're on Zoom, but not quite the same. But so we're doing all these little things to get ready. But looking forward to really seeing if I can keep leading as a parent.
Well, we know you will, and I think from my heart and all the listeners and viewers out there. Congratulations, continued success on Keep Leading and Keep Leading Live and this great platform that you put together. It's inspirational, it's motivational, and it is truly what you are all about. And I know that all the listeners out there will continue to listen for the next several hundred episodes more to great content that you put forward. So thank you, Mr. Eddie Turner.
And thank you, Lou.
And hold on, I'm going to sign off your show. Remember that leadership is an activity. It's activity. It's action. We must be a leader at our core. So whatever you do, Eddie, take us out here. Keep leading.
Always keep leading. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lou. You're the best. And as we conclude, Marianne Shank, thank you for saying all the way from, I always butcher it. I always want to say Sweden. It's not Sweden. It's the city next. It's
Norway, Finland,
not Norway,
Switzerland, Denmark.
Switzerland. Thank you, Switzerland.
You got Switzerland and Sweden mixed up.
I do that every time.
It's all beautiful people.
She has supported me in every show. And when I do the live ones, thank you, Marianne. I owe you. Thank you.
Great. You got them coming in from all different forums. They came in from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from YouTube. Look at that. You're a man of many platforms. Look at you. It's excellent.
All right. We'll sign it off. Thanks so much.